Michael.
Hi, Joe. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
great to meet you. Where are you coming out of?
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Right on. Yeah, that's I'm a jazz radio guy. That's where my favorite station is, KCSM.
Okay.
I listen
Where
to it all
where are
the time.
you where are you at?
I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, hey man, it's great to meet you. I appreciate you taking time out today.
Yeah, our pleasure. Definitely.
Cool. So we have someone else coming on?
Yeah, Marcy's coming.
Okay,
There she
cool.
is.
Hi,
Hello, how
how
are
are
you?
you? Nice to meet
Great,
you.
thank you. Nice to
Excellent.
meet you.
Are you in San Francisco?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Excellent. Well, hey,
Yeah.
thank you two very much for taking a minute out today. And what I would like to do before I get into your work, your collaboration, and kind of your mission is to know, how did you survive COVID? The last 3 years was quite an ordeal. How did you get through it? And how did it change the way that you approach business?
Well, the first part, I kind of didn't work as hard. I took some time off and just relaxed. But the second part of it is actually when we started the book. And so that was the pivot, really, is just kind of relaunching everything. And then a lot of my clients were used to in-person work. So I had to really do a lot of re-educating and just kind of actually generating new clients. And so we're just still working on some of the online strategies to attract online clients and the video portion of the work. But now that the wave of COVID is over, we're getting back into live. We're got a retreat set up, a live retreat, and I'm kind of seeing my clients in person again, which is what I love. So, but now in parallel with that, we've got the video stuff going too. So
Okay.
that's good. But really, the book was the COVID project. So that's
Okay.
Yeah, and for me, just on a personal level, I have kids and we were doing big projects, home projects during the time. So on a personal level, I don't know if I still fully understand how COVID has affected all of us, especially kind of this next generation that had to deal with school and remote learning and just the social impact. But it was during COVID when I was working with Michael and I had said, gosh, I know there needs to be some sort of self-reflection, transformation that's going to be needed coming out of this time of isolation and just with all the challenges economically, socially, mentally, emotionally. So that's when we started, and so the book and the outline that he already had, kind of high level in a high level draft. Is that the time when as he mentioned, when I kind of stepped in to help realize that, because I knew there was such a need coming out, especially as mentioned, like I have kids in the school system and part of our tight knit community, people have changed and people have been impacted and they need a light to look forward to figure out like, how do we cope and come out of this as our best selves? So that's when I was really excited to hop onto this project. And there's a lot of work left to do.
So let's say I put you two in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day and they ask what you do for a living. Talk about what each of you do respectively and what you guys do together.
Michael, do you want to start? Oh, but he's dealing with a little hiccup. Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
My connection's glitching a little bit. So if you could, yeah, my connection is glitching a little bit. So if you could just repeat that, because I didn't get it.
Sure. So I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day, and one of the kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How would each of you describe what you do respectively, and then what you do together?
Okay. Why don't I take it? And sorry about that. I've been in front of third graders through various volunteer activities. I have to say that I kind of have a day and a night job. So my day job is banking, and that is what has been my career. I'm a project management, and so where I've kind of grown it through my vocation is 30 years in the banking industry. And so I have lots of stories and things to share about working in kind of a quote unquote office job. But I've really wanted to tie that to my passion. And my passion is transformation and development. And so I found a way through my day job that's afforded me the ability to be able to travel and take courses and kind of live this life of my passion. But really, later now, my passion is this development and transformation work, which essentially, if I were talking to third graders, the development work is getting to know who you are, getting to understand how your brain works, getting to understand why you have reactions to certain things, and really figuring out like your tools, your gifts, your talents, and learning how to create your entire world around things that you're good at and what your life passion. And essentially, for older people, we look at life purpose. And in third grade, you may not understand that right now, but how to blend kind of both my personal and professional lives and align them so I'm living my purpose.
Yeah, I would say for third graders, the message is going to change, because there it's going to be about development. They're going to be they really need to develop their ego. So it's about building ego strength. But as soon as I'm working with an adult, I'm actually working to get them a strong enough ego to get beyond their ego, right? So the whole message is going to change when you're talking with a child. It's really about beefing them up, really getting them strong and confident in who they are. And then a lot of adults need that as well. But the real developmental journey for the adult, especially at midlife, is finally getting over our ego, right? And getting kind of into our purpose, which means it's not about me anymore. It's about us. It's about how I plug in, right? And that's a bigger message for a child. So I think that the message has to be, what are you good at for the third grader? What are you good at? What are your talents? What do you want to begin to explore in life? And it's more of an invitation, I think, at that age to begin to dabble in the things that interest them and develop that self-esteem at a very early age.
So how did this union come together to make this book? How did it all happen and gain steam?
I'm going to let Marcey take that one.
So I was a client about 5 years ago or so. I heard about Michael's work and I thought, you know what, I have the job, the house, the spouse, overall from the outside, everyone would see like, gosh, this is, a person who's probably feeling successful and peaceful. But in reality, I felt like something was missing. I felt like, why am I not achieving what everybody else is achieving? It's like, why do I still have, these dreams that and I'm working really, really hard. And I just didn't feel like joy and happiness, like true joy. I felt success and accomplishment. And I felt like I was kind of serving my community with volunteering and doing a good job with my work, but I still felt like something was missing. And so I was introduced to Michael. What I really learned is that it's not what I know about that was holding me back. It's what unconsciously was driving my decisions, my perception. So while I always externalized to look for the answer, really he showed me how to look for my answer and what was right within me. And so that was 5 years ago. We worked together for a couple of years. And then about a little over 2 years ago, out of nowhere, I get this phone call. And he said, do you want to write a book? And I said, absolutely. And by the way, I don't know the publishing industry. I've never written a book, so I'd be happy to. And I'm a project manager by trade. And so we figured it out together. But it was an amazing start of this incredible journey that I'm still excited about 2.5 years later.
So what did you all want to be when you were in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
Interesting. Michael, go ahead.
Gosh, interestingly enough, I had a very wounded childhood. So third grade, I think, was probably just about surviving. And kind of just, I had a lot of depression as a very young kid, and I was in a lot of heaviness of my family stuff. So I didn't understand myself at that age. But that, for anyone on a developmental path or a spiritual journey, in a way, you have to be wounded at an early age to have that impetus to grow beyond it. And so this is one of the things I try to work with people, that your early wounding is your gift. And the place where you have a deep wound is where you also have a gift to the world, something to share. And so at third grade, I was so immersed in just a lot of heaviness from my upbringing that I didn't have a sense of childhood. I felt very old at a young age, actually. And I kind of like the Benjamin Button model, like I'm getting younger as I get older. So it's been a nice journey in that respect.
Joe, that was a couple of years ago. So I was trying to go back and think at that time. And I think I just wanted to be in a place where I can interact with people. And, there was a time when I wanted to be on stage in Broadway or on a field playing sports or something. But I can't even recall that far back if there was I know I had passion for doing things, but I don't know if I had a dream at that young age.
So to pitch this book and to make sure that people understand what it is, or to get them to buy it, I'm gonna pose this question to you. What's been the best response you've gotten from someone so far about this book?
I had someone that picked it up and read it, and she said, this book has an energy to it. It has something different. It's done something to me, and I can't explain it. So it really is a transformative book. And when you immerse yourself in the content, it's going to take you on a journey. It's going to really energetically do something in a positive way for the person, but it's also can be a bit of a challenge because she's had to shift some of her identity. That particular person believed in some victimhood identity. And so she's coming into her power just through the book and through beginning to realize who she really is on the other side of that victimhood, right? And so it is a journey in empowerment. And that's probably the most profound response. But then just a lot of people are saying it's really speaking to them at this particular time. So there's just a different energy to this book. And that's what we really intended as we were creating it. And a lot of it has to do with the dynamic of Marcey and I and what we were able to do in our relationship. And we've transferred that into the book. So it's not only the work and the journey, but there's a greater energy to this book.
And I've heard often, just really quickly, Joe, just to with that, the readability of it, because I have purchased a lot of self-help transformation books, been to conferences and courses, and what I'm hearing is that it's not preachy, because in the beginning we say, if there are sections of this that don't ring true to you, read about it and put it aside. Maybe they will later, but it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to comply to everything to see change. And we've broken it up so there's 3 sections, but within each of the sections, we have some of the transcripts from when Michael and I were working together, and exercises and some key concepts. So what I've heard from readers is that it's easy to digest and that it's self-paced. And so that sometimes makes it easier and not so kind of unattainable, is that you could pick it up and kind of process it almost like a journal, because it really is the inside guide about each reader. And like Michael did with me, is we're turning the vision into ourselves, and we want, as mentioned, the readers, that's the whole point from the beginning, is the answers are inside of you.
So let me ask you this. What was the book that was transformative for you? What was that first book for you?
For me, probably I'd say one of the very first ones was the Celestine Prophecy, because that was about the time I had my first, it was just coincidental I was reading that book. This was probably 30 years ago almost. And it coincided with my first spiritual awakening. And so it was kind of a unique time, the early 90s. There was just a lot of new books coming out. The Mutant Message Down Under was another one. The Way of the Spiritual Warrior by Dan Millman was another one. So there was this wave of kind of all these books at that time, and it was coinciding with my own awakening at that time. So I found it just like I was really hungry. But as I got into my 30s, I got more into the mystical literatures and kind of Zen and Dogen and things like that were Thomas Merton on the Western kind of they're more Western mystics, but it was kind of like an evolution in my what I was taking in at that point.
And I had one book, it was Marianne Williamson years ago, A Return to Love. And like Michael, it was just at a time in my life, I was 18, I pick up this book. It's based on A Course in Miracles, where the theme is that the only thing that's true is love, and everything else is usually based in fear. And that's just kind of perceptive, and it's not real. So it's just to hear that there's this theme of love with everything that's true, and that you can analyze anything that that is difficult as coming from fear, was a real shift for me. And it was such a simple concept that I read it cover to cover as a teenager, and just that principle just hasn't been disproven. Like, all of the important things are based on love, and everything else usually has some level of fear. And that's just an illusion, which was a key concept for me at that age.
So if anybody wants to pick up the Inside Guide, learn more about each of you respectively, anything pertaining to your world in this work, where do they go?
Our website, so it's www.loveguides.us. So it's Love Guides Us, LOVEGUIDES.US.
Excellent. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for opening up. Thank you for talking about this project. Best of luck with it and everything else as we move forward. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Thank you.